My amplified unit, welcome to the 16th ever BC's Pro Wrestling. Welcome to the 16th ever BC's Pro Wrestling Amplified podcast. You know the saying during these podcasts, time flies when you're having fun. Well, we're absolutely having a lot of fun in these Amplified podcast, hour-plus long videos, because we're already at the 16th episode, man. Could not be done without you guys enjoying the content and showing your support. So honestly, it means the world, man. Thank you guys so much. In this podcast, I like to start off usually with like a little monologue or a story, something of that nature before we get into the news. But in all honesty, guys, there's so much news to go over this week. That's pretty important or pretty big discussion and topics that we're just going to jump right into it, man, because we got to talk Luke Harper asking for his release last week. Did WWE grant him his release? Well, there is new word on that. Not only did they not, you're going to be shocked at what WWE did to Luke Harper. At least if what we are hearing ends up to be true. We're also going to talk Becky Lynch. She was in a recent interview and she took some major jabs at Ronda Rousey. Even though Rousey is no longer a part of WWE. Technically she is, but she's going to be away for an indefinite amount of time. She doesn't know if she's going to be starting a family or not, but either way, it looks like Ronda's done for at least a year. And even though she's kind of on the shelf, to the side, out of WWE right now, Becky Lynch, she is still going full throttle on Ronda Rousey. I'm going to have the exact comments that Becky Lynch dished out to Ronda during this interview. I'm going to let you guys in on that during the next hour as well. We're going to talk Tony Khan talking about when they get the TV deal with AEW, it's going to be the best pro wrestling show out there. So he's kind of not trying to throw a jab at Vince and WWE, but he's coming out and saying we're not just going to be content with being number two. We're also going to talk Daniel Bryan. Where has he been? Does he have the injury that everyone thinks he has? We're going to talk about that. Nia Jax is under the knife as we speak, actually. By the time that I am filming this right now, she is under the knife. By the time you guys watch this, which should be earliest Friday morning, hopefully there'll be new details. But we do wish Nia the best. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. Undertaker and Kurt Angle, Vince McMahon was furious with them. And he actually pulled them out of an upcoming big event. Because he did not want them partaking in it. We're going to talk about that as well. So much, as I just said, guys. And I only have about an hour to do it because I want you guys to go about your weekend, right? I don't want you guys to spend your whole weekend with the Amplified, man. Even though a lot of you guys right now are probably like, no, I'll spend the weekend with you, BC. Thank you, guys. As I said, let's jump right into it. All those stories I just mentioned and so much more. I will start off with Luke Harper. It is no secret. I made a whole video about it early last week or maybe the tail end of the week before. But Luke Harper was fed up. He's had enough with the way WWE has treated him. He's been ready to come back for months now. They kept him on the shelf because they had nothing for him. Finally, he gets the phone call saying, we got something for you. Luke Harper's like, great, what is it? They said Access, WWE Access WrestleMania weekend. And he was like, this is a joke? No, you're going to be, competing at Access. Is that cool? And then maybe after Access, maybe we'll find something for you on TV. So Luke Harper swallowed his pride and he said, all right, I'm going to go out there. He made a long statement on his Instagram saying, not only am I going to go to Access, I'm going to show everybody why I am still an elite wrestler in this business. And I can be and should be something more than they're giving me. And he went out there and he delivered a damn good performance at Access. And then when Access was over, days went by, weeks went by, nothing for Luke Harper on the main roster as far as television. SmackDown, Raw, nothing. Crickets, silence, radio silence between Luke Harper and WWE. So finally Luke Harper had enough and he said, all right, I did everything you asked me to do. I waited when I was ready to come back from injury because you had nothing for me. I went to Access like you told me to re-debut, and I killed it at Access. I waited after Access because you told me you were going to try to find something after Access, and you still did not call me enough. And Luke Harper took to his social media and said, I have officially requested my release
from WWE. So this is what we're hearing now. Again, all the information that I'm about to give you guys in the next hour about all of these stories, this is being filmed Thursday afternoon. You guys will be seeing this Friday morning at the earliest, so a lot of this news is ongoing. It's ever changing, so there may be updates to not just this story, but others. But as of the filming of this video, what we are hearing is not only did WWE not give Luke Harper that release, they're actually extending it another 6 months. From what we're hearing, this is legally something they can do. Because when Luke Harper was out with that wrist injury, they froze the contract for 6 months. So they're basically extending his contract another 6 months. He was scheduled to fulfill his contract obligations in November of this year. But again, asked for an early release because he was unhappy with his position, or non-position, if you will, in the company. Instead of granting his release early, WWE not only said no, but they added the additional 6 months, extending Harper's contract till after WrestleMania 36, Tampa, Florida. So Luke Harper wouldn't even be able to do anything with any other promotion around WrestleMania even of next year. Harper obviously has friends in AEW that are higher ups. This may have had a play in the role of WWE's decision. Either way, Harper was done dirty. We can all see that. Again, these stories, this one not exempt, is ever changing. Maybe as more frustration shows within Luke Harper and his fan base and pro wrestling fans as a whole that this is just wrong, even though they're legally able to do such because the contract was frozen from what we're hearing, and you can legally add on those months post initial contract, even though that is legally viable and acceptable, it's wrong. We all can agree that this is wrong. When somebody is unhappy and they're asking you, they're trying to go about it the right way and say, can I please have my release? I'll even do the 90 days no compete clause. I'll do 150 days no compete clause, no complete. I can speak already. It's going to be a long hour. But when somebody does that, guys, and they're doing it the right way and they're asking you for the release, why would you want someone to stick around that's unhappy? Why would you want somebody under your thumb that just doesn't want to be there? And then on top of that, you extend it even longer. It's got to be because they know he knows people in AEW higher ups. They know he's got a secured position there. And trust me, this isn't one of those things where somebody's unhappy and then we all start talking about AEW. AEW can only fulfill so many spots before they're the same problem that WCW had back in the day and WWE has today. They're overcrowded with talent. AEW doesn't want to be overcrowded with talent, but Luke Harper, I think it's safe to say, has a secure spot there as he should. So I don't see how anybody can hear this story and not think that Luke Harper was not done dirty. He absolutely was. He's asking you for his release, and instead you go, no, you're going to wait out until your contract ends in November, and on top of that, we're going to extend it another 6 months. As I said many times, it's an ever-changing story. Maybe WWE changes their mind in the future about this situation because they realize maybe there's an outrage, an outcry. Again, not just from Luke Harper or his fans, but as pro wrestling fans in general, that this is just wrong. But Vince and WWE don't always care about right and wrong. They care about the legalities, right? They're going to try to protect their own ass and make sure Luke Harper doesn't wrestle for anyone else for the foreseeable future, including a whole year. So two things are going to happen. You ain't going to see Luke Harper for another whole year, or WWE is going to try to make amends with him while he's under contract. Bring him back and try to turn him into something big. But this is what I fear because we've seen it so many times. He starts to get a little bit of a push, maybe even a championship, make him happy a little bit, and then take it all away. Take the title away, take the push away, put him back into obscurity. They treat everyone like they're toddlers. They cry because they ain't got the candy they're saying? Well, let's give them a piece of candy. And then once they're done with it, we'll put them aside without any candy for the foreseeable future. What are they going to say? I want the candy again and then cry again? No, we already gave. We can't give it to you all the time. They're treating their talent like toddlers. Maybe they're not crying about getting the candy. Maybe they're just asking. They're trying to get your attention for the right reasons. Maybe it's not just to get what they want. Maybe it's to get what they deserve and should be getting because they're that damn good or can be for your company. There's a crazy concept. Not everybody is entitled when they speak out. Not everybody is entitled because they didn't get their way and are voicing frustrations. Maybe they actually do deserve way more than they're getting. Sasha Banks is an example a lot of people like to call entitled, or they're bitching and complaining. But if you think it's okay that somebody of the talent of Sasha Banks has had the title 4 times for the total of about a month, I call that criminally tragically wrong. If you call that nothing wrong with that, okay. Wow, man, must be great to live in your delusional world where anything can be fed to you and you'll take it and say, please, sir, can I have some more? Neville walked away because he didn't feel it was the right thing to do the job to Enzo and then be placed into obscurity. Neville walked out. You think he's entitled? You think Neville doesn't believe in his heart of hearts that he deserves a bigger spot in that company and wasn't getting anything? The king of the cruiserweights was his glass ceiling? If you're going to call Neville entitled, again, must be insanely awesome to live in your delusional world where everything is accepted to you and you don't get frustrated over anything because everything is glorious to you. Luke Harper. If you honestly don't think there's talent in Luke Harper, you don't see this guy and you see something special, man, I just don't know what you're watching. I surely don't know why you'd be watching the Amplified channel because we see guys like Luke Harper. We see guys like Neville. We see a female talent like Sasha Banks, and our minds are boggled as to how they're not achieving more in this industry when they're obviously going above and beyond to try to do such. And finally, they reach a point where it's just enough. And what does WWE do? We're not going to grant your release. I don't care how unhappy you are, you're going to stay and we're going to extend it. Again, it's an ever-changing story, we hope. If not, then this story is not changing. And this is the be-all, end-all of this story. And for Luke Harper, it has a tragic ending. You're stuck for the next year. Unreal, guys. But that's going to be the lead-off story, right? Luke Harper's contract extending for another 6 months. Again, as of the filming of this video, which is Thursday afternoon, that's the story. If there is any updates, I'll absolutely in future videos let you guys know. And you guys can do the same as well, man. Just Google the shit out of WWE News 24/7 or try to get contacts of your own or who the fuck knows. But information is readily out there for you guys, man. If the Amplified man can't be one of the first to break it to you or go in depth with details. Because sometimes I'm just, I'm busy with other things. I wanna let you guys know my thoughts and stuff, and I just can't. So, you know, if you guys keep on top of it, that's awesome. And then when I get a chance, I'll always give you guys my thoughts on big stories like this. Because trust me, this is a big story. Luke Harper's been unhappy for a long time. He just asked for his release. That's it. Just let me out of this prison. And WWE said, no, we're extending your prison sentence. Unreal. Moving on, because there is a lot of stories, guys. This is just, we'll take it down to a little bit more of a comedic level. That's tragic and criminal, the Luke Harper situation, as of now anyway. But the next story is a little bit more comedic, we think. It's tragic if you're the former War Raiders, former War Machine. It's tragic for them, right? Hanson and Rowe, as we know them. Now I don't even know who they are. Ivar and Ivan and Erkson. I don't even know their names anymore, let alone their team name. Their team name has went from the War Machine to the War Raiders to the Viking Experience to the Viking Raiders to what now could be the Viking Warriors. That's right, in the latest, I should say, WWE Fan Council on social media, fans were asked who will have the greatest impact in the Superstar Shakeup, and the Viking Raiders were listed as the Viking Warriors. This led to speculation that Vince has in fact changed their names yet again. Talk about ruining these guys' careers before they even got a chance to showcase their shit. Honestly, because that's what they're doing. They're ruining their careers before they can even tell the world, or at least on the main roster, the casual fans, the mainstream media fans, who they are. Show who they are. At this point, they're going to just change their names every week and make it part of their shtick. It's going to be part of their gimmick every week at this point. Every week will be a new name and they're just going to be a comedy act. That's something Vince would do. As of now, they're still just they're just two football teams, NFL football teams, their team name combined. As of now, they are still the Viking Raiders, right? Like the NFL Vikings, like the NFL Raiders. They're just two football teams together as of now. We have not heard confirmation that they are the Viking Warriors and that their name has changed again. This is just the latest WWE Fan Council post, and it already has them listed as another name change. We don't know if this was a misprint, a typo. They just didn't know what it was being changed to at the time, so they just picked the Warriors. We don't know. But it sure as hell did not say the Viking Raiders or even the Viking Experience. It specifically said the Viking Warriors. Doesn't sound like a typo to me. That sounds like that was what they were told to put down. But as of now, again, that we know of, they're still the Viking Raiders. Which is just atrocious, and I tell you guys why. How is this ruining their careers, BC? A name shouldn't mean that much. A name means everything. Could you imagine if The Undertaker showed up as the guy down under? Could you imagine if fucking The Rock came out as the Pebble? I mean, come on, man. You can't be doing things like that. A name means a lot. There's a reason that Duke the Dumpster Droese never really got over. And a plethora of other dudes, trust me, I can give you gimmick-wise, that just never got over. A name right off the bat can turn somebody onto you or turn somebody off to you. Their whole gimmick in NXT, part of the fun was chanting with them, war, 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 war. What are you going to do now? Viking, Viking, Viking. What? That's not cool. And as a Packers fan, I sure as hell ain't going to be chanting Viking. Or Raiders. And maybe that's why Vince changed it yet again. He's like, shoot, I'm coming up with the XFL. I don't want to be thinking or talking about the NFL. I don't want two NFL teams coming together in this team name. What was I thinking? What the hell were we all thinking? Change it. Now it's going to be half NFL team, half NBA team with the Warriors. Shoot, that was my Pee Wee Football League team name, the Warriors. I just don't understand what they're doing. These guys don't have an identity, and they've been here for a couple of weeks on the main roster. This is a team that was running through everybody in NXT. Tag team champions and all. One of the even Vince McMahon, we thought, could not ruin the War Raiders. It's a team that we were upset from the beginning that they even changed their name from War Machine to War Raiders. But we said, all right, still badass, still cool, still Hanson and Rowe. Now, they were the Viking Experience to the Viking Raiders to what could be now the Viking Warriors. And who knows if it stops there, because I doubt it. But on top of that, they're not even Hanson and Rowe anymore. I don't even know what to call them. Ivan and Eeyore? Eeyore? Everick? Ulrich? Ivik? Ivik and Ivan? Who the fuck knows? Absolutely criminally tragic what they're doing to these guys. And again, whether it changes the Viking Warriors or not, the fact that even their social media people don't know what to call them, what do you think the casual fan in the mainstream media is thinking? Even the diehard fans are confused as hell. It's become a joke. You have turned one of the most legit badass teams into a joke. But we shouldn't be surprised. Look at the AOP. We thought the biggest things in the world were going to be unveiled for the AOP when they got to the main roster, and they are in obscurity and shit. Today, they're non-existent. So we shouldn't be surprised by this story. It's just absolutely criminal. So I started this story off with, this is kind of comedic. The more I think about it and talk about it and get amplified over it, it's absolutely criminal, just like the Luke Harper story. Just like Luke Harper, I hope they come to an agreement where Luke Harper can leave on good terms, and before a contract extension even has to go into effect. We wish that and hope that for Luke Harper. I also wish and hope nothing but the best for Hanson and Rowe, the War Machine. Not even Raiders at this point. Don't tell me you can't say war or shouldn't be saying war because of advertising. Please. If that's the case, you really got to rethink how you're doing business, because you can't even use the word. The Food Network has Cake Wars. Cake Wars. That's about food. Advertisers love the Food Network. They're okay with Cake Wars. Somebody put on one of my videos, right? There's the War Goddess who used them in nicknames. Come on, man. Absolutely tragic, criminal, and stupid. More news to go over here, guys. How about Becky Lynch? This is a good one here. Becky Lynch, even though Ronda Rousey is no longer attached to WWE, she's technically still under contract, but we don't know if she's going to start actually, we do. She's trying to start a family, and we know for a fact she's going to be gone till at least 36, WrestleMania 36. Could be even longer. But Becky Lynch, this is not stopping her from throwing jabs at Ronda, and I'm talking hardcore. Becky Lynch had some hard-hitting words for Ronda Rousey in a recent Us Magazine interview, where Becky said, and I quote, "She only knows how to win. So when she doesn't win, she can't handle it. This isn't where her heart is. This isn't where her passion is, and I'm glad I got to beat her, and I want her out of here. I don't want to help her advance at all. I'm happy I beat her. I want to get rid of her. They're my belts now. She doesn't deserve to be here. She disrespected my business, and I'm delighted that she's gone. If she wants to go and have a family, that's great for her. Sail off into the sunset, but I'll be here running the show." So and this isn't the only time, guys. Every interview she's been doing almost, when she's asked about Ronda, she's not saying any nice words because she's gone, or any nice words because she was part of the family for a while. No, it is, I want her gone, she's disrespectful, I don't like her, and I'm glad I'm the one that took the titles from her. And now she's going out and even hitting it on a more personal level, like she was doing during their feud. Her heart isn't even here. This is not her passion, and she doesn't belong here. Those are some fighting words. Like real life, personal, type UFC type shit fighting words that Becky is throwing over to Ronda. I love it on one hand, and I'm kind of feeling bad for Ronda because she's out of that spotlight for right now. Or at least the main focus WWE bubble. She's out of that spotlight, out of the ring bubble. And she's still getting hit pretty fucking hard by the two-belt champ in Becky Lynch. I don't know, man. You guys know I love Ronda Rousey, so I do miss her. I do feel that there's a void in the women's division right now that Ronda Rousey was filling. Everyone said she was holding the division hostage, or at least the Raw brand. But if you think about it, she was one of the bright spots. She was one of the ones that we were always talking about, whether good or bad. Ronda Rousey brought a believability that not a lot bring to this business, male or female. She brought a lot of discussion and topic points, and I feel there's a huge void without Ronda now. She was that ultra antagonist. She was that yin and yang to Becky Lynch. One of them was the yin, the other was the yang. Well, now without the yang, the yin isn't really yanging too much. Or vice versa, if that makes any sense. But I just feel like they gelled together, man. They were peanut butter and jelly, two separate things, but when they came together, it was fucking great. But some people don't like peanut butter and jelly, so some people didn't like Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch together. I didn't mind it if the story was going to be told beautifully. I told you guys, once Nia Jax ruined that for their Survivor Series match, I said if they're going to try to do this at WrestleMania, it's way too long. WWE doesn't have it in them to prolong a story and make it epic and captivating for that long. And I knew it was going to be watered down and diluted, and I was correct. But I still wanted to see Ronda and Becky one-on-one. I felt there was no reason to see Charlotte Flair or anybody else to make this a triple threat at WrestleMania. This is unfinished business between Becky and Ronda. We never got to see that, guys. Ronda is now gone for the foreseeable future. Becky is off doing her own thing with Becky Two Belts and that whole thing. We never got to see Becky and Ronda one-on-one, hopefully in the future, because like I said, it's the peanut butter with the jelly, man. It's the cheese to the macaroni, if you will. It is the yin to the yang. Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey did work well off of each other, man, or at least on social media and in interviews and in the public spotlight. Man, did they spar with each other verbally. So Becky Lynch is not stopping that. And it doesn't look like she's doing it anytime soon. Speaking of Rousey, guys, on Ronda Rousey's YouTube channel, her husband and MMA fighter Travis Browne, he just put out a video discussing his feelings on the Bret Hart fan incident at this year's Hall of Fame. And you guys remember, Browne was one of the first in the ring to save Bret and put a beating on this low-life schmuck. Browne said, and I quote in this video, "This guy should never be mentioned again. This guy needs to disappear and go back into the nothing in which this piece of shit was born. It could have been way worse. We're lucky that's all that it was." So Travis Browne is putting a lid on this. He's putting the cover on it, and he doesn't want to speak about it again, it sounds like. But he's saying that this low-life schmuck, or those are my words, but he's saying that his exact words were, he needs to go back into the nothing in which this piece of shit was born. And he's basically lucky it wasn't any worse, because it could have been. And I think he's double speaking there. He's talking about it could have been worse for Bret Hart. We're lucky it wasn't. But he's also talking about it could have been worse for this dipshit that got in the ring and caused all of this. It could have been, the beating could have been worse on him, is what it sounds like Travis Browne is also saying. But he didn't hold back on how he felt about this piece of shit. And again, this is not a fan, guys. This is literally a low-life schmuck. This is a piece of shit to the highest levels. This is not a fan. Somebody who jumps into the ring and does that to a legend, a stroke survivor and cancer survivor like Bret the Hitman Hart at 60-some-odd years of age. 62 years old, I believe. 61, 62. Guys, that's not a fan. That is an absolute lowlife. That is a schmuck to the highest level, to the highest degree. That is a piece of shit like Travis Browne called him out on. So he finally did speak out about that incident, guys. And again, that full 3-minute plus video is on Ronda Rousey's YouTube channel. Check it out when you get a chance. After the Amplified Man's number 16th episode of the Pro Wrestling Amplified podcast, obviously. Not now. But definitely check that out, guys. So apparently, word around the campfire is that WWE is interested in signing Joey Ryan. That's right. Penis Party Joey Ryan. Picture in the PG world of WWE. Picture Penis Party Joey Ryan in that WWE PG world. Picture it. Did you picture it? Yeah. Enough said. I don't even know what I could talk about. There is no way that this story, you would think, can be legit, but it's actually from reputable sources. You have to believe if anything, AEW maybe, right? I don't think that's official, right? No, because we're hearing WWE as well. AEW is where he would land. I don't see WWE in that business model. With all that Joey Ryan has done in the past, that could be brought up. Not saying your past should follow you everywhere, but we're talking about Penis Party Joey Ryan. In an odd way, I don't mind the guy. The guy can actually work, which is why it frustrates me that he feels he has to go to those lengths sometimes to grab attention. Because I actually don't mind the guy. When I first saw this dude, and several times after, I'm like, dude, this guy is something that's could be anyway, captivating on a consistent basis. He just has to watch it a little bit. You know, I'm all about taking it to the line and even crossing that line. But that's not saying you gotta fucking fly by that line 160 miles an hour every fucking time you see fit. No. Take a moment to just think about where you want to go, and take a moment also to think about how you want to get there. Right? If this is true, good for Joey Ryan. Everything he did, and WWE is still like, hey, want to come over here? And if it's not true, and Joey Ryan would like to be there, maybe no more penis parties. This is just an observation from one pro wrestling mind. Maybe you guys have your own opinion about Joey Ryan. Would you like to see him show up in AEW? Would you like to see him show up in WWE? Do you think there's no place for him in either promotion? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. At the end of the day, what does it matter? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one and they're usually full of shit. So, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. Either Vince and Triple H are going to extend that offer to him and he's going to accept, or maybe the Khans will extend an offer and he'll accept that. Maybe neither will. But, I just thought that was a crazy story. I never would have thought he would have a chance at Triple H extending a contract, because you gotta believe it would be with NXT, right? You gotta believe that's where he would fit better off. You know what I mean? And a little bit of more of his zaniness would actually work, hidden away on the network instead of, oh boy, on cable television with all those advertisers that Vince McMahon is trying to kiss all their asses at once. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting, in a weird way, story to send to you guys. As of the making of this video right now, guys, like I said, Thursday afternoon. By the time you guys see this, it'll be Friday morning at the earliest. So we'll have an update on how it went. But as of right now, actually, as I'm filming this, Nia Jax is in surgery. Or supposedly, that's what was supposed to be slated for right now. And that's for the repair on both ACLs. Guys, anybody that can tell you one ACL to repair, that's a bitch in itself. Two of them at once, she's obviously out for the next year. That's right, year. She won't be back for a whole year at the earliest. In all honesty, we wish Nia all the best. And while we honestly and sincerely wish Nia the best and hope she gets well, we also want to say honestly and sincerely to take all the time she needs. Don't rush coming back. No, seriously. Don't rush coming back. You relax. Take 2 years if you need to. It's all good. We'll be good. You just make sure you're good. Because there's really no rush to come back. The fans will be fine. But in all honesty, guys, we wish Nia the best. Jokes aside, this is a very serious thing. I know it's a routine surgery, but anyone who's had an ACL tear, man, they'll tell you, two banged up knees, and to be fixing them both at the same time, that's harsh recovery. So all jokes aside, we really do wish Nia Jax the best. Sincerely and honestly, guys, I can speak for the entire Amplified unit. No matter what we think about her inside the ring, or all the fun that we have with her, or maybe at her expense, sometimes with her, laughing along, the truth is, guys, we want to see these performers that go out there and entertain us. We want to see them always in good health and always rocking it out. You know what I mean? We never want to see the worst for them. This week's ratings for the WWE. I put out a whole video about this yesterday. Check it out, guys. This is about how WWE continues to tank, man. And these are not good numbers when you're going into and through a WrestleMania. This is for quarter one, obviously. So this is heading into WrestleMania. But still, these are not numbers you want to be seeing. I put out a whole video yesterday. I won't spend a great deal of time talking about it again now, but I will just talk about the Raw rating this week. That was down from a 2.6 to a 2.3. SmackDown Live's rating was a 2.2 to a 2.0. Their live attendance is down 15% in quarter one. Their merchandise down as a whole 11%. That's you get that number through a different variation of ways. But all you really need to know is it's down 17% at live events, and it's down 23% on WWEshop.com and online. Live events, ratings, merchandise, everything, ticket sales for live events, it's all down across the boards. And this is what I've been preaching to you guys from the beginning. Everyone talks about Vince making all this money, but guys, it is from Fox giving them that billion-dollar deal and hoping for the best in the future. It's from Saudi Arabia and such giving tens of millions of dollars for their performers to perform in their homelands. But once that money dries up, where's it going to be coming from? Because fans are being driven away in droves. That's the truth. I won't spend a great deal of length on time on this, guys. If you want to hear me get really amplified and give you facts, tune into that video I put out yesterday. Because I went all in on how bad and tragic this company is spiraling downwards to. And if you look at downward spiraling, you could talk about the upward trend, which is AEW. Whether you love talking about AEW or not, you have to admit the buzz right now is absolutely around AEW. It just seems like every single time that somebody gets released from WWE or somebody asks for their release from WWE, or just a talent is brought up that isn't currently signed, everybody starts to immediately ask the question, AEW maybe? Or shoot, it's gotten to the point where it's no longer really a question. People are just coming out and saying, they're headed to AEW, they just got released. Or this person's coming back to wrestling and is unsigned. AEW is going to get him. Tony Khan, who is basically running AEW underneath his father, obviously. But Tony Khan is going to basically be acting as the Vince McMahon. Even though his dad is pretty much supporting a big chunk of this business. But Tony Khan is successful in his own. Don't get it twisted. He's not just somebody just out with his dad's money. Tony Khan has done a lot of great things already business-wise and business venture-wise. So he's no slouch. But anyway, Tony Khan has just recently did an interview. And in this interview, he spoke about a lot of stuff. And that was one of the topics. He was asked about everybody constantly bringing up AEW when it comes to talent being signed. And I raised this concern with you guys weeks ago, a couple of months ago, when AEW, the name, started really gaining traction. I told you guys they cannot just be going around signing everyone, because they will have the same problem as WCW had and WWE currently has. They're going to be overcrowded. You look at NXT right now, even NXT is overcrowded. Their takeover events only produce 5 matches. So they're all fighting to get on 5 matches at their pay-per-view. The problem with that is there's too much talent in NXT. So you're really going to be leaving a lot of great talent off. And the main roster, there's sure as hell a lot of too much great talent that is not even being utilized correctly on weekly television shows, let alone the pay-per-views, when both brands come together and produce only 10 to 15 matches. That might seem like a lot, but when you have a roster of over 50 talents, a lot of them really great, or at least really good, that's leaving a void for a lot of these superstars to try to showcase what they can do in the ring, showcase their abilities and athleticism and wrestling skills. There's no place to showcase them. It's overcrowded, so they're sitting on the shelf or sitting in catering the entire event. WCW went under because they started signing all of these talents for a lot of money, by the way. And it got to the point where this was just a circus. They had no room for these talents. They had no storylines to give them. It was just it was just bad, man. Business was so good that they decided to sign everyone they could just to gobble it up. I call it Pac-Man status. They started being like Pac-Man and just gobbling every talent they could up. And then what do you do once you have all the talent? It's the same thing NXT is suffering from. They have a lot of talent, but What are you doing with it all, man? Now you have to go out there and showcase them all. Good luck with that. You have a 1 hour a week television show, and every other month or every 3 months, you have a takeover event that produces only 5 shows. Anyway, the root of the matter is that in this interview that Tony Khan gave, right? When you do an interview, you're not really putting it on, you're giving it. Guess I could have worded that better. It doesn't fucking matter. It's an hour-long podcast. I come to these epiphanies during the podcast. So during this interview that Tony Khan gave, he actually touched up on that. And he spoke almost word for word like I did. He actually brought up WCW Win Under, and that's one of the reasons. And he brought up the fact that he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to just gobble up talent, just to gobble up talent, or just because they're out there in the world and they currently aren't signed anywhere. He wants to be very selective because he wants to give the talents that he has on the roster, he wants to be able to give them the very best time and attention. What do I preach to you guys all the time with WWE and where they lack? One of the key areas that they lack is they take great talent and they never give them the time of day. They don't give them immense, immaculate attention to detail and focus. Instead, they brush them to the side. They give them bullshit storylines. They give them 3 or 4 minute matches sometimes. Tony Khan doesn't want to do that. He wants to get a solid roster, even if it isn't 40 or 50 guys, but maybe it's 20 to 30. And he wants to give them the best attention to detail and focus to what they are doing, storyline-wise and or match-wise, and let them go out there and do the best that they're capable of, the best to their ability. That is something that Vince used to do back in the late 80s, early 90s, and no longer does. It's like he just gave up and doesn't care about it. This guy, in the same interview, is showing you he absolutely cares about what he's doing. In fact, he went out again and doubled down and said wins and losses will absolutely mean something in this company. He said titles will once again mean something in this company. I love that. It's something we preach all the time as fans. Titles no longer mean anything in WWE. You're seeing the champions, even in non-title matches, just getting beat left and right. How many times do you honestly need to see Peyton Royce or Billie Kay, either as singles competitors with those tag team titles or as a tag team with those tag titles? Whether a championship match or not, how many times do you need to see Peyton Royce and Billie Kay losing every match they're in? How many times do you need to see Samoa Joe with the United States Championship losing every match he's in, or 50-50 booked, losing all the time? Finn Balor, even though he's Intercontinental Champion, but losing all the time. I can go on and on. The Revival with the tag team straps. At what point do champions actually have to be portrayed as a champion? It can't just be, hey, they have titles, so they must be important. It doesn't matter if they lose because it was a non-title match, BC. No, they're losing and they're supposed to be champions. At what point do you protect your champions? At what point do you protect the business, the product, the company that you're putting out there? You're supposed to be a viable company. You're supposed to be the number one brand, the number one company. But you're parading your superstars out there to look like and act like jokes. You're parading your shows out there like it's a circus. This company lost the simplistic formula for success. And that is why the aforementioned story I just broke to you guys, again, a whole video on it yesterday, that is why every area of revenue is down for WWE as it pertains directly to the fans. Sure, the big conglomerate company like Fox can give you $1 billion. Sure, the fucking countries and homelands like Saudi Arabia can give you tens of millions of dollars, but when you're talking about a direct line of communication between fan and Vince McMahon, fan and company, fan and WWE, all measures and metrics for revenue are down. Because Vince lost that simplistic formula, or he just doesn't care. Everything Tony Khan is saying in this interview is saying he is going to change it up. It is going to matter championships. It is going to matter wins and losses. It is going to matter storylines. And he goes on and he says, and I quote, about a television show, we will have the best wrestling television show that you'll see. He says schedules won't be as grueling and wrestlers will be treated as human beings. So he is prepared to lay out AEW in a way that we have not seen before with a conglomerate company like this. He is saying they will not be on the road 6 days a week, 5 days a week. They will not be putting on 4 or 5 shows a week. He's saying they will have time off every week more than what you're seeing now in WWE. So not only will the schedules be better and they'll be treated like human beings, but he's saying we're still going to be putting on the best wrestling show that will be out there. Whether he intentionally wanted to give a war shot blow over to Vince McMahon or WWE, it doesn't matter because he did. In those words, he's saying, we're not here to play second fiddle. He's saying all the right things, like we're here just to be AEW. He was asked about something compared to WCW, and he's like, we're AEW. We're something totally different. But in the things he says, if you listen in this interview, he's coming out in a roundabout way, you could say, or just straight out saying, we're not here to play second fiddle. Yes, we're here to be the one and only AEW, so we're not trying to compete in that aspect, but we're not here to play second fiddle, so that leads you to believe he's going for the top spot. And even though they're going to be original and unique and something never before seen before, something different, that doesn't mean they ain't going to be number one. Again, some people would love to see that. Some people are really, really supporting Tony Khan in this whole AEW endeavor, and I think that's awesome. But there is other people out there that do not want to see AEW succeed. They're WWE faithful, or they just are sick and tired of hearing about AEW being so special when they haven't even put on a match yet. I see both ends of the spectrum, both sides of the fence, absolutely. But I just love what Tony Khan is saying so far. I think it's epic, and I hope that that's the simplistic formula. That, again, it's a lost art that Vince McMahon just no longer sees fit to utilize. It's a shame, man. It seems like WWE is just going through the motions left and right. And, I missed the events, the pay-per-views, when you were seeing matches you never saw before, and you were about to see matches that you never thought you'd see. Back in the day, and it was only one time. Every pay-per-view was something different. You saw Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. You knew that you weren't going to see them one-on-one again at the next WrestleMania or the next SummerSlam. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, that WrestleMania 6, that was the one big time they were fighting, Man, that's when it was really good. Now you see just every fucking event, whether it's a Raw or a pay-per-view, you're going to see Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, for instance, or Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley 716 times, If it was like Stone Cold and The Rock at multiple WrestleManias, now we're talking, because they knew how to do storylines back then, and those characters could help drive that. They did it creatively. Nowadays, you're just seeing superstars face each other a million times with wins and losses not meaning anything. It's just 50-50 booking. One guy will win one week, the other guy will win the next week, the next guy will win the... And we're not even being told really why we're seeing this for 716 times. Why are we seeing Rollins and Drew McIntyre? And if you guys think about it, on the Raw roster, once we get past AJ Styles and Rollins, which we absolutely believe is being done because that event, Money in the Bank, is 6 days before AEW's Double or Nothing event. So I think Vince absolutely wants to send out there a good wrestling match to compete with AEW's Double or Nothing event. But after that, where does Seth Rollins go? Your big heels on that company are guys that we've already seen Seth Rollins in there a million times with. Who's he going to be in there with? Drew McIntyre? Seen it a million times. Are we going to see Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin have a feud? Seen it a million times. On Monday Night Raw. That's what I mean. Vince wore out his welcome with all those feuds so much, so often, that now when he needs them at a pay-per-view, it's been done 716 times. There's no reason for us to care about it. On top of that, he doesn't even try to give us a good storyline to try to care about it. So not only have you seen it 716 times, you're going to get it for a 717th time, and there's not going to be a story to even make you give a shit. Just like the first 716 times. I hope you guys are keeping track. The bottom line is Tony Khan is coming out and saying, hey, we're going to change the game a little bit, and all of this is going to matter again. I welcome that. Woo! That was a fucking mouthful. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is still out of action, and there's been no word as to why. Many are speculating and concerned that it could be another head injury, and there have been rumors that WWE is heavily monitoring the situation. But with no concrete word yet, this could just be a scheduled, completely planned time off period for Bryan to spend with his family, clear his head, and get off the road for a bit. We don't really know as of now, guys. There has been, the latest word I got is that Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan were supposed to have another match at Money in the Bank, but because of this supposed injury that had been nixed, and you had Kevin Owens take Bryan's spot. I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe because there's no real concrete evidence. It looks like, yeah, there could be a viable injury to Daniel Bryan, but it also looks like he knew he was going to drop the title. We knew he was not happy being on the road as much as he was. Maybe he did plan for time off, and he asked Vince to change plans, if indeed the plan was to face Kofi. Because we know Daniel Bryan wasn't going to get the strap back at Money in the Bank. So maybe this was just him saying, hey, can I just take some time off? Because by now you would think we would hear something about the injury if there was one. And again, by the time you guys see this Friday morning, maybe there is an update. Maybe we do have more information. But as of now, we don't know. It could just be planned time off. If it is an injury. If it is, and I don't even want to discuss this, but we have to on this podcast, and that's what we do. So I have to talk about it at least for a minute, and that's if it is an injury. Wow. Man, we hope that it is not a head injury. I speak for every one of us out there, man. Because we loved seeing Daniel Bryan return to the ring. We loved seeing his work. This new Daniel Bryan, this new heel Bryan, vegan Bryan, recycling Bryan. This is, it's been fun, you know. And one day when he does turn back face, which I hope we do see, which we will, if he's not injured, one day we'll find a face Bryan back in front of our TV sets, or on our TV sets. But that's all in the future, man. We just hope he is healthy, happy, and living his best life, man. You hate to hear somebody's injured, especially if this is another, I don't want to say the word, guys. If this is what people are speculating and hoping that it's not, man, that's tragic. Because then I think Vince would have to say that's it. And I think that might have been the last time you see Daniel Bryan, if that's the case. I don't see how, if it's the worst case scenario, and again, I'm not going to say the word, but if it is what we think, or what we hope it's not, and that was the whole reason he had to retire in the first place, I don't see how Vince would parade him back out there. So we don't even want to think of that. Daniel Bryan has been a breath of fresh air since he got brought back, guys. I want to see that continue on. So we really hope, Bryan, nothing but the best. Honestly, man. Sorry to bring the mood down on the podcast, guys, but just thinking about it, man. Again, through the hour-long podcast, I always have these little epiphanies, you know what I mean? And even though I write out the key notes, the bullet points that I want to speak about, and I talk with you guys as professional as I can, you still have these epiphanies as you're talking about it, you know? It really dawns on you like, wow, that could have been the last time you saw Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. We don't know any information as of now, Thursday afternoon, the making of this video. That's all we know. We're getting more information that he might have been the one to go and take on Kofi Kingston. If that's the case, then yeah, maybe this was an injury and they had to change the plans. I'm hoping this was just Daniel Bryan going to Vince McMahon and saying, hey, I want some time off. I'm dropping the title. I've been on the road more than I wanted to be. You know that. Give me a few weeks, even a month off. I'll be keeping a close eye on this topic, guys. I assure you. Speaking of Money in the Bank, I just want to give you guys an updated card as of now. So there's a couple weeks left before Money in the Bank. So far, they have Seth Rollins, champion, Universal Champion, taking on AJ Styles, of course, for the Universal title. We also have Becky 2 belts in 2 matches. Both titles will be defended in separate matches. The SmackDown title will be defended by Becky 2 belts against Charlotte Flair. And the Monday Night Raw title for the women will be defended by Becky 2 belts against Lacey Evans. Also, Roman Reigns and Elias for Money in the Bank is official. And we're expecting this week for Kevin Owens and WWE Heavyweight Champion Kofi Kingston to be made official. Either way, that will be definitely on Money in the Bank. And again, we think by this week's SmackDown, that'll be made official. So at that point, guys, there will be 5 official matches. And again, Becky Lynch is in 2 of those. But I'm expecting by the end of this week's Raw and SmackDown, there's going to be another 3 or 4 matches confirmed. Let's move on, shall we? Some more quick hits here. How about The Undertaker and Kurt Angle, guys? Undertaker and Kurt Angle were both forced to be pulled out of this year's Starcast event, which is always the weekend of the big AEW event. Last year, it was for All In. This week for Double or Nothing. Starcast is basically like the access experience for AEW. But here's the catch. It's technically not actually an AEW event. But I think we all know that we kind of put the two together. Not only is there a plethora of AEW talent there, but it always takes place that weekend in that area for Cody Rhodes and the Bucks and what we call now AEW. So that's why a lot of people mesh the two together. Technically, it's not the same thing. Starcast is different than AEW. But people are putting it together. And it's for those reasons, guys, as I told you guys, this was going to be a problem with Vince McMahon. And it was. Because its attachment is undeniably given when and where it takes place every year. And it's always attached to AEW. So you know Vince is going to have a problem with that. It looks like there was no way that Vince McMahon was going to have Taker and Angle, 2 of his greatest creations. That's how Vince looks at it anyway. You're basically his property. And in his mind, he was not going to let them take part in something that may or would be perceived as an AEW event. And again, for Vince McMahon, perception is reality. We know, for the 3rd time I'm going to say this, Starcast isn't actually technically part of AEW, but Vince McMahon and a lot of people, especially suits and ties in the company of WWE, they believe it's one of the same. So word got around, it started to make buzzing points, and you know what? Vince was like, no, Undertaker officially and Kurt Angle officially pulled from Starcast. Conrad Thompson, who's the lead promoter of this Starcast, or maybe the sole promoter of it, he tried to work out a lot of things with Vince McMahon and WWE as a good standing point for both, because these are 2 big voids for Conrad Thompson now, right? I mean, these were 2 big names that he was going to have at his event, and now they're pulled. So he reached out to WWE, and he was basically just saying, hey man, you want to send over Shawn Michaels, or maybe we can work something out. All the proceeds will go to Connor's Cure or a good charitable event. I just want to make my people happy, and I want to make sure that I'm not stepping on your toes. But apparently WWE never got back to him or never wanted to do real business with Conrad. That's the last thing that we heard. So Undertaker and Kurt Angle were pulled, and that was it. We heard Shawn Michaels might be a replacement, and then that got nixed. So, anyway. Take it for what it is, guys. That's the latest on Starcast. Undertaker and Kurt Angle. I made a video, again, a few weeks ago, or maybe a month plus ago, when Undertaker, it was really a hot topic that he was taking bookings, and I was like, uh-oh, something ain't right. Well, sure enough, if it wasn't right before he started taking bookings, Vince was surely pissed off afterwards when he found out, because he told Mark Calloway, you ain't going nowhere, buddy. And he even told Kurt Angle, step the fuck back. Even though you're retired from in-ring competition with WWE, you are not showing up. Lastly, guys, we'll talk Triple H. He recently told the Business Journal Weekly that when SmackDown goes to Fox this October, the entire show will be reimagined. He said, we're still trying to figure out a lot of things, but it'll be completely reimagined from what it is now. Take that for what you will. I'm just the messenger. But we already knew when it goes to Fox, a lot of things were going to change. Triple H is now using the word reimagined. And they're already thinking about how they're going to reimagine the brand and probably how you perceive the WWE and pro wrestling, man. So this leads me to believe, guys, big changes, bigger than we even thought when SmackDown goes to Fox. I say good. I say bring the shit. It can only help. Because even though SmackDown is better than Raw 9 out of 10 times, I think we all can agree it still can be better and needs to be. We still need larger-than-life characters. We still need storylines we care about, and we still need feuds that captivate us. If Fox can help in that, great. If it's just solely on WWE's shoulders, I wouldn't hold your breath. Because they have not proven in years that they're capable of doing such, of giving us quality entertainment that has us on the edge of our seat, at least not consistently, nowhere near. That's the 16th ever episode of BC's Pro Wrestling Amplified podcast. I thank you guys for every single one of you that have been here from minute one all the way to the full hour. I love you guys, man. It ain't nothing but love and respect from me to you, and I know you to me, and that's what makes this go full throttle, man, and what's going to take us right to the 17th episode next week, the 20th episode in a few weeks, and beyond, man. We do this thing together, man, and we talk pro wrestling. It's our passion. It's what we love, and we all come together once a week, many times a week if you guys also come around for my review videos and my impromptu videos. But I know some of you guys just come for this video once a week and want to spend an hour with the Amplified Man and talk pro wrestling, man. It's because of all of you guys. The ones that watch every single one of my videos, or the ones that just watch 1 or 2 a week, or the ones that just watch the podcast. 1 hour long video. All of you guys collectively, you are the Amplified unit. If you subscribed and smashed the notified bell, you are the If you just watch and you're not part of the unit, if you have not subscribed, I don't know why you're not supporting. But for the unit, man, I honestly, I'll shut up, man, because I can go another hour just thanking you guys and telling you guys how much I respect you guys and how much I love you guys. But I'll end it. I won't get all mushy and sentimental. We'll take off, and I will see you guys for Monday Night Raw's review and reaction this Tuesday morning. But again, if you're subscribed and notified, if I put out an impromptu video, you'll see me sooner than that, and we'll be talking pro wrestling way sooner than that. For now, check you.